totally not right?
No, I think, well, first of all, there's so much stuff in all the tabloids and everywhere that, I mean, you know, a lot of people are going to believe a lot of stuff that they hear, but no, it's not true. I don't have any plans on going anywhere, you know. And I think where people get them things is because it's like, see, like our image is so like different from what we really are, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, we're just very positive-minded people, you know. We're not goody two-shoes, we're not angels, we're not kids who are bred to be role models or nothing like that. We're just positive-minded people. And, you know, when people see, like me on the street, a lot of people are surprised by what they see. You know, I'm not out there doing drugs or drinking and stuff like that. But I mean, I grew up in the streets of Boston, and when you grow up in the streets of Boston, you learn to not take no crap, you know what I'm saying? Right. And when people see me on the street, they expect me to be running around, you know, hiding behind my bodyguards and this and that. And, you know, a lot of dudes want to try and take shots at us. And I don't go for it, you know. So, and I think people grab at that, grab at maybe my outspokenness and my difference than, say, the rest of the guys in the group. And it's just an easy thing to get. But, I mean, the guys in the group and myself, we all just act like ourselves. And, you know, I think just me being a little bit different than the rest of the guys is just easy to pick at.
As you said before, you guys, it's important to you that you're just positive people, and if you project a positive image, great, you know. How adamant are you that the people around you in your organization are as positive and live the way you live in terms of drug-free, basically in a positive kind of way?
I mean, there's times, you know, if the show's over and stuff, you see a lot of the roadies in the bar and stuff like that. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? That's their right to do that, you know. It's just that just the way I live doesn't make the way somebody else lives wrong, you know what I'm saying? And I've never tried to say that somebody else is wrong for living the way they want to live. You know, a lot of people in my family, brothers and sisters, had drug problems, you know what I'm saying? And that taught me lessons, you know? And that's kind of why it irritates me when people say that new kids speak against drugs and this and that, but they don't know what they're talking about. Man, I grew up with drugs all around me, not only in the streets, but in my own family. You know, so I definitely know what I'm talking about.
Wasn't the temptation there for you?
Yeah, the temptation was definitely there for me. You know, and when I was young, I experimented with things, but I think seeing my family go down taught me a lesson, you know, and that's why I just try and just let people know that that's how I feel about it now.
I know that one of the big issue of concern to a number of artists this year, and I'm not sure how involved in it New Kids have been, is the environment. I'd like to get your thoughts on that, the importance of, you know, saving the planet in relation to the fact that, and I know, like before you said, you don't have to justify sponsorship and that sort of thing. But if there's one company that has been the target of environmentalists, it's this one right here. And I just, do you have any thoughts on the fact that...
Yeah, well, actually, I'll say this. John Knight, for starters, was very, very strongly, you know, talking to McDonald's about the environment, you know, about the styrofoam boxes, this and that. And we all talk to them about it.
They are trying to replace this styrofoam?
Yeah. They're trying to do that right now, and they're trying to, you know, they're recycling. They're starting to put all these recycling bins in the store and everything. So, you know, I mean, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, look at so much good stuff they do, the Ronald McDonald houses and stuff like that. And they're always doing stuff like basketball leagues and this and that. I mean, McDonald's does so much positive stuff, you know, for kids and for everyone in general. I mean, you know, and for them to just show that they are concerned about the environment themselves was good enough for me.
Yeah. It seemed to me that in terms of, I don't know how much you guys really care at this point about critical acceptance, you know, or more serious music acceptance. I mean, how important is that kind of acceptance to you? The fact that, I mean, the fact that Chuck D comes out in several interviews and says he is a fan of you guys and respects you and that sort of thing, that must make you feel good.
It definitely makes me feel good. This is where it gets tough for me because, you know, when I walk through, like, the streets of a town or something, not just talking about critics, I mean, critics are everywhere. Regular people on the street are critics themselves. When I walk through the streets of a town and there's a couple of kids on the corner who are, like, trying to put down the new kids, you know, and I walk over to them, and I mean, I'll get in a fist fight with them right there on the street, and people will say, Donnie, you know, don't go to their level, you know, you're a millionaire, this and that, don't worry about what people say about you, you shouldn't care. But the thing is, I do care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think everyone in the world cares about how people feel about them in one way or another. You know what I'm saying? And I care. That's how I am. I'm not going to try and say, hey, I got $1 million. You can talk about me all you want, because that's not how I am. If you're trying to, you know, to insult me and stuff, I'm going to stand up for myself no matter what. And as far as critics go, you know, writers and stuff like that, I mean, they have a job to do, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but as long as they write out of knowledge and not out of ignorance, you know, if a critic comes to the show and sees it and says, hey, you know, the show wasn't that good, I'll respect that because they came and seen it. But most of the stuff I read, man, people have never even talked to us, met us, seen us, or nothing, and that I can't accept. That's just ignorance.
Life in the slow lane got you down.
And welcome back to One by One with New Kids on the Block. You know, only one member of this group was not with the band at its inception. Joey McIntyre was just 12 years old when producer Maurice Starr chose him to be the kid in New Kids, replacing another member who dropped out. Well, it's now 5 years later, and as you're about to see, Joe McIntyre, who's now almost legal, has grown up fast. So you've grown up, you know, while in the band much more than the other guys have. I mean, do you, growing up as you have, like, basically in the studio or on the road, you know, can you compare yourself now to the way you were then? You're a lot different?
I still have, you know, I still have the same values, and I still like the same things, and I'm still kind of, you know, I have my little things that, you know, the guys would pick on me about, but I'm just, you know, it hasn't changed me inside, but I've definitely gained a lot just by being on the road and being in the business.
Anyway, listen, about the tour, this is probably, in terms of like the scale and the venues you guys are playing, the biggest one yet. How's it going? What can people expect?
I think it's a lot different from the other show, because the last show we did was like, a lot of times critics would come to the show and they say, well, they jived a lot and they talked a lot. And I think our fans like that, but maybe an older audience could see that. Like this show, we're not doing that. We're just doing the songs and doing a lot of choreography and this and that. So it's different in that respect, but it'll mold into the New Kid show.
How many, did you guys ever sit down and count how many shows you've, say, even in the last 2 years, how many shows you've played? Any idea? I know there were...
I probably got the best memory. I know, let me see, we went out first with Tiffany. It'll be 3 years. This July 21st was the first show, so it's been 3 years of shows, and I'd say, what's that, about 1,000 days, so I'd say about 600 shows or something like that, 600.
Wow. Let me ask you about something that sort of emerged as this like new controversial issue that people are kind of talking a lot about now, and that is tape versus live, you know, and the whole question of, you know, tape vocals and that kind of thing. Any thoughts on that? Do you think people are making too big of an issue out of it, first of all?
I think that definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, for various reasons people use it, and some use it more than others, and some use it for less minor reasons, because, you know, you can't always duplicate the sound that's in the studio. Nowadays, music isn't always done live. It's done with, like, you know, synthesizers and all sorts of neat little stuff you see in studios. So I think they're just like, a show is just, if you get entertained, not to say, I don't believe in, like, it's ridiculous to go on tour and of a big tour and have all vocals and have all tracks. That's ridiculous, I think. But if you entertain the crowd, that's what they came to see.
Is this album is what I've read is that it was, you know, sort of an attempt, although not an overt attempt, to go for, you know, a bit of an older appeal. Is that
right?
Is that the idea?
Yeah, like I said, we didn't consciously do it. We just said it wasn't right. We want to stay with our fans, and I think hopefully our fans will grow with us, and that's what we like to think about. But if we can capture an older audience and gain the respect of, you know, that audience, it'll work for our benefit. But I think it's hard for a lot of people, especially for, like, you know, young, like in their 20s and stuff like that, for people to really maybe go out and buy the album and like us when there's so many, you know, young fans. But I think I really take interest in those fans, although I love regular fans, but fans that just want to listen to our music and respect the album and maybe, you know, go to the concert and check it out, so.
Not as high profile maybe, but definitely a contributing member of the group is Danny Wood. He co-wrote the track Never Gonna Fall in Love Again from the Step by Step LP, and Danny told us, among other things, that he doesn't mind not getting as much press as some of his bandmates.
It doesn't matter to me at all. I mean, we're a group. We're New Kids on the Block. Then we're, you know, individuals. And if Jordan gets his publicity, that's great for him, man. You know, and if Joe's the #1 new kid, that's great for him, you know. I've always been the type of person that's been part of a team. You know, it's been more in the back. But since I've been in the group, you know, I've gotten experience and learned to come out in the front. But I'm not looking for any extra exposure or anything like that. If that's just like icing on the cake, you know, that's just the cherry on top of everything.
Now, you mentioned the favorite new kid, and that relates to the USA Today.
Yeah, I was last, bro. I
that
don't know.
right?
No, I don't know if I.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I was last.
I didn't know
I
they
was
gave the
last.
order. Oh,
Yeah, I was last.
Okay, well, no, I mean, I would have thought that Joe would have been happy about that result. But when I spoke to Donnie a few weeks ago, he said that none of you really liked the whole idea of that kind of thing. Why is that?
Just 'cause, I mean, it's like, seems like people are trying to, things like that can cause trouble in a group. Mm-hmm. It didn't affect us in any way or anything, but it's just like, why do it, you know? And when you ask the fans, they might have a favorite, but a lot of them will say, I like them all, you know? So it's just something we weren't too fond of.
There's the animated series too, the cartoon. Are you guys gonna actually be doing voices for that? You're not. How did
it just, we wanted to do it, but it just ended up with time factor, and they had to audition people for our voices. We just couldn't fit it in.
So were they going for people who sounded the most like you? Or?
My brother tried out. My brother sounds just like me. And I guess they didn't want him because his acting experience. You know, he doesn't have no acting experience, so.
I mean, it's been quite a year. I mean, are you still somewhat amazed at as big as it's gotten in the course of a year?
Definitely amazed. It's you know, we always dreamed about making it and, you know, having hit records, but everything has gone past all our dreams. We never thought it would get to this point, and it keeps growing and growing, and, you know, it's incredible for us.
Step by step.
We are back with One by One with New Kids on the Block. New Kids have always maintained that they're a group without any stars. And in fact, in their live shows, the time in the spotlight is pretty well divided among the guys. But only one new kid handles the majority of lead vocals. Only one was cited by People magazine as one of the 50 most beautiful people in the world. And only one is most often mentioned as having great potential as a solo artist. If New Kids on the Block does have a star in the making, it would appear to be Jordan Knight.
I'm just doing what I like to do. I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, stick out or trying to take the bulk of the leads of the songs and stuff. I'm just, you know, I love music, and I always want to get better and better at it. I'm always trying to, you know, just strive for the best.
So when people focus on you and say, you know, New Kids on the Block lead singer Jordan Knight, or New Kids on the Block, you know, frontman Jordan Knight, that kind of thing, I mean, is it a role that you're comfortable with? Because you seem, I mean, Donnie's much more obviously the kind of person who works that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely more laid back, and I'm quiet and stuff, but, you know, when I get on stage, I'm fine with the role of being a lead singer. You know, I like that position. But as far as, like, you know, talking to people, doing interviews, you know, I kind of stay back. That's, you know, more Donnie.
Yeah.
You know? I could deal with 15,000 people better than one person.
I mean, do you think when you were like in school, like say before the group, or even when you were just starting the group, did you think of yourself as someone? I mean, someone who was like always popular, or like had a lot of girls and that kind of thing, or is this sort of new, a new kind of?
No, I've always liked to dance and stuff, and that always drew attention to me. You know, in school and stuff, I would dance in the hallways and stuff. And I hung with the cool crowd in school and stuff, so I was always pretty popular.
Yeah. What about vocally? How would you rate yourself now as a vocalist as compared to when the group first got started?
Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not the greatest, but I think I have improved, and I've learned a great deal, being in the group and through time.
Yeah. One thing that I think that you obviously don't see a lot of nowadays, I don't know if you have much at all since the stylistics, is falsetto, the use of falsetto.
Yeah.
I mean, is this something is it always come naturally to you? And when did you first know that you could do it, sing that way?
A falsetto?
Yeah.
When I was like 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I used to sing soprano in the church choir, so that's where I got my falsetto voice. And as I grew older, my natural voice went lower, but my falsetto always stayed high. Thank God. In actuality, I don't have a high voice. In a falsetto, I do, but as in a natural voice, my voice is low. Everyone in the group's voice is higher than mine, naturally.
Right. I mean, do you prefer the parts where you can sing falsetto? Because
I like singing falsetto, but then again, I like singing naturally. But I think my strong point is my falsetto, so it tends to sound better.
What about critical, approval? Does it even matter much anymore, since you guys have had a pretty hard road with the critics anyway?
I think the critics really give me a drive. I read the paper every morning after a show. I try not to let it get to me, but it does get to me, and it just pushes me all the more when they say, when they knock us and stuff. Pushes me all the more. So, and New Kids, we've always strived on being the underdog, When we would just start and we would, open up for headliners and stuff, and, we'd be like, let's win the crowd over.
I mean, I know that you and Jonathan grew up in an environment that was pretty open and all the time really mixed, which a lot of kids unfortunately aren't able to grow up in that kind of integrated environment. And yet, in the last year or two, we've seen what seems to be a real rise in racism in this country, like all over again. I mean, do you notice that?
I mean, you see it. I mean, my brother's black, and we used to go into this neighborhood called South Boston to ice skate. And we would come out and the tires be flat because we, brought him in there to skate. People would holler names at him and stuff. And that was in like 1978, 1979. And, years after the Civil Rights Movement, and it hasn't changed a bit. Yeah. So I think people are just more aware now that it's not going away.
It seems to me that New Kids is sort of at a crossroads right now, because I mean there's more outside work happening. I mean, you've done a duet, Donnie did his thing with Seiko, and there's there seems to be a lot more opportunities for you guys to do other things. What do you see as, say, 6 months down the line? I mean, is the group stronger than ever, or is there these outside projects sort of?
I think, we're still very strong, but everyone in the group knows that everyone wants to do, separate things and do their own thing, because everyone wants to be an individual. But for some reason, I don't know, for some reason we're sticking together. But we do have a very strong unity, and it's like, I couldn't just run out and do a solo thing right now and leave the group, because that's how I got here.
Even though you're capable of doing a solo thing, I would think, right?
Yeah, and other people in the group are too, but I wouldn't think that would be right at this time. I think, you know, in the future, definitely. But right now, I mean, it wouldn't be right because, you know, I made it with them, and I wouldn't want to leave them.
And there you have it. One by one, Donnie, Joe, Danny, and Jordan. Once again, we're sorry we couldn't include Jonathan, but maybe next time. And finally, even though in the world of teen idol pop, 5 minutes can be a long time, to say nothing of 5 months, we're going to wind things up with a final question that I asked each of the guys. Where do they see themselves and New Kids on the Block 5 years from now?
I'll probably be doing a movie, I think.
I have to be around music, and that's how we all are. Have to be involved with music.
I think every guy in the group really could do whatever they want outside of the group. You know, and I think, you know, a lot of people have said that the New Kids don't have talent and this and that, but I mean, the talent is there.
I mean, life is going to change, but with every good thing comes a bad thing. But I mean, 5 years from now, hopefully I'll still be successful and happy.
We're always going to stay together. We're still going to be the New Kids on the Block. And no matter what, I think we're still going to keep coming back, and hopefully our fans will too.
One by one from John Norris's interview with New Kids on the Block. What did you think? Not bad. Again, the official autobiography. It's chock full of facts. They wrote it. That's the new member. Just kidding. That's the guy that made them. Here's the latest video from their #1 album, Step by Step. It's Oh Bloody... No, it's not. It's Tonight. But it sounds like well, it's kind of Beatlesque. Make up your own mind, though. It's important to have an opinion. Go the Beatles on New Kids.